In this example, for the polynomial inequality we want to solve, notice we're not comparing to 0 this time. And so I think what might be helpful to do first is let's make sure we have a 0 on one side. So what I'm going to do is subtract that 24x so that I am, in this case, greater than or equal to 0. We typically want to compare to 0. There's other ways to do these problems, but I liked comparing to 0. As we talked about in the last video then, the first thing we'll want to do is find the zeros. And we could find them using the table, which I'll show you in a few moments. However, since I like to factor, let's rely, at least for right now, on factoring this just to find what my zeros are. So I notice there's a greatest common factor this time of x. So I'm going to divide out an x, or factor out an x. And then what's left, this trinomial in parentheses, I can factor rather simply. I just need to find two numbers that multiply to negative 24, but at the same time add up to negative 5. And so the two numbers that are going to do that are going to be a negative 8, so x minus 8, and then a positive 3 and x plus 3. And so now that the polynomial is factored all the way, finding its zeros is fairly easy to do. I'm going to go ahead and plot these zeros on the number line because these represent the spaces, or the numbers, where the graph may change direction from going from positive to negative. So one of my solutions, one of my zeros, is going to be at 0. Another 0 is going to be at negative 3. And then my final 0 is going to be at positive 8. So those are the three intervals I want to divide my number line up into. At this point, I'm going to switch over to my calculator and take a look at the graph and the table to determine whether the intervals are positive or whether they're negative, because knowing that will help me answer this inequality, because this time I'm looking for where the graph is greater than or equal to 0. In other words, where the graph is positive or above the x-axis. Where it's above the x-axis. So let's go ahead and switch to the calculator and take a look.